Hello, and welcome back to the 190th episode. Good. I just realized how close we are to 200, and I had a minor existential crisis.
God.
190th episode of Good Bad Media. We're at 200 in. That's like October, I guess, because we did 2 a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like 10. Okay, that's not as bad.
We're officially old.
I can wait. I was worried we were gonna have to come up with the 200th episode in like a month, and I was like, oh, that math doesn't math. Yeah, we got till the end of the year. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Just ignore that. The 190. I was jumping right back in. The 190th episode of Good Bad Media Show is terrible movies, television too. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Schiller, and as always for their host, Mr. Kyle. Oh, this movie. This is my choice this week. Coming off of the Seagal high of last week, we have a different kind of high, Kyle.
Yeah.
This is I love
what bargain bin did you find this in?
I love this movie. So I think I found this. I don't remember if somebody recommended it or if I saw it on a YouTube like compilation of like bad movies or something. I can't remember, but I found this somewhere because all I do is anytime I see something that looks like it has potential, I just bookmark it, and I have a whole bookmark tab that is bad movie options, ideas. Yeah. And when we're coming to pick a movie, I just scroll through that, and most of them are like from recommendations and messages from people, but some of them are just random stuff I find. I scroll through that and I just click on different ones until I find something that really piques my interest. And this one this week, when I clicked through this one, I was like, holy cow. This is a masterpiece, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Brought to you by a Canon Handycam.
Yes. So this film, released in 2006, the film is Dream Home. It released in 2006. I think this was filmed even earlier than that, based on like everything. I don't know. Maybe it's around that time because the guy, the main love interest, Darren, has the husband has a little flip phone on his belt the whole movie. I guess that's 2006. That makes sense. But
Motorola.
Yeah.
Hi. Hello, Moto.
But it is Dream Home. This is a 2006 film. We just getting right into it again because there's not much. I don't have a lot to say about it until we actually get to talk about the movie because there's not like any big names or anything in it like that. There's nothing interesting to talk about that regards. Opening right up on the movie, the opening credits gave me a migraine because it's the very first credit is Most Wanted Films.
Okay, so it is. The video progression is 400, right?
Yeah.
And it is like forced widescreen, so it's already stretched.
Yes.
And then they try to blur in text.
Yes.
And we're looking at it through a 1080 monitor.
Yes.
And your eyes are just like,
It hurt my brain because every single title card is out of focus. And yeah, they're trying to do like a slow blur in, but they also slowed it down too much. So it takes forever.
Dude, my eyes were like...
It legitimately, I'm not kidding. I had to look away from the screen.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I was like, I can't look at this. This is physically painful. Physically painful. But then during the credits, we start getting some opening shots, and we are establishing this house. And I immediately got the biggest Jezebeth vibes that I have ever gotten.
And speaking of which, the fucking end credits.
What's it?
The end credits.
Oh, yes, we'll get to that. We will get to that. Because this movie is on YouTube as well. It's like an hour and 25 minutes long. Spoilers, this movie is not an hour and 25 minutes long at all. Not even close. Oh my God. But there's these little children who are investigating this old like plantation house.
Could you tell that this film was shot in Louisiana?
It's shot somewhere in that area.
Yeah. Because like the house is built on stilts.
Yes.
Like every house down in the floodplains.
The floodplains. He's just losing his mind. He'll be okay. He'll get over it. He'll stop again. It's because we stopped. He was fine at the end of the last episode, and then I left the room for a minute, and now he's having separation anxiety again. It's fine because Katie's not here.
Yeah.
It's fine. He'll stop.
He didn't.
So we're seeing these kids investigating a house. We also see a mysterious figure walk past a gazebo. Ooh, it's nothing. And then also that shot is just like wildly overexposed. I was like, I think it's a person walking because it's like so overexposed, and also like you said, it's stretched and it's like already like 8 pixels, so you just can't see anything at all.
And then the entire like opening scene, we're following these kids investigating this house, right?
Yes.
And it is the most trying to tell kids what to do for your film.
Yes.
When you don't even know what you're really doing.
And that one freaking kid, that little one kid, and like he's wearing like a sports shirt.
Yeah.
It's right down the barrel of the camera.
Just looking right down there. Yep.
Constantly. And at first I was like, oh, is that intentional? Like, is this supposed to be like their film? But no. This isn't like a found footage or anything like that. This is literally
Kid, you're an actor.
Yeah. And he is not. He is a random kid they paid in Snicker bars to be in that movie, probably. Because he's just constantly looking at the camera. And it was like, look.
That's like if I was talking to Brian right now like this, looking directly into the camera about this film.
Yeah, I would never look into the camera, Kyle. What kind of hack fraud looks at the camera while they're recording something?
Looks at her early comments. Jesus.
Everyone. It's okay. Yeah, I don't need to explain myself, Kyle. There's a reason, but I don't need to explain it. You don't need
Negative
to know why.
comments keep Brian up at night.
Oh goodness. It's to make sure the camera's recording, which is actually not an issue anymore. It used to be an issue, but now it's so ingrained in my brain. Well, the way we used to record, we had 12-minute segments.
Because like the cards couldn't record over 4 gigs.
Yes,
because of FAT32 format,
the file formatting.
Yeah.
And so we had 12 minutes, and the most frustrating thing ever, which is also why in some of the early episodes we have cartoon versions for a while, is that we would keep going past, and instead of setting a timer like smart people, I would always look up at the viewfinder to see if it was still recording, and so I still do that because it's just ingrained in my head from that. But we actually don't need to do it anymore because these will roll for the whole episode, so it's not a big deal. But now you know the lore. I probably explained that at some point previously, but. Also, we're introduced to some random guy just lazily hammering at a hunk of metal while staring into the camera.
God, he's like the worst. This is the worst representation of hammering with tongs I've ever seen.
He's so lazy and like awkward and clunky. Also, he's being blasted by like a spotlight. It's the middle of the day, but he very clearly has.
I thought it was a reflector. Didn't they do that out in the?
They do it in the other shots. They definitely have a reflector. This to me looked like a light that was hitting him, but it could also have been a.
And then the sound design is just non-existent. Like
one of the later shots with the hammering of the metal, they clearly had a like blacksmith.wave like sound effect, but they would just cut it off. Like they would play the
because there's probably background noise too.
Yeah, or like probably kept going. Like it was probably like a lot, and they just wanted the single clank hit, but they only had one that had, and so they kept cutting it off.
Buddy, room tone to mix in your sound.
It's so bad. But again, already I was like, this has got a lot of potential for me, Kyle. This looks exactly like Jezebeth, and I am into it. Also, they very clearly had a jib on set for like one day or something, because they have this shot of the woman sitting on the steps and then walking inside, and the camera like pedestals up into the air, and I was like, how'd they do that? The rest of this movie will not be shot like that at all. But this like one day they had a jib or something on set, which is incredible. So then we're introduced to our main couple, Darren and Faith. I think it's Faith. The credits on IMDb say Faye. but I swear they say Faith.
Her name, the actress, isn't her name like
Chantel?
Chantel.
Yeah.
It's misspelled in the opening title.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's with 3 L's.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's Chantel Wynn. And on IMDb, her credit, or sorry, Daryl and Faye. I thought it was Darren and Faith.
Darren.
This is Faith and Chromier. This is my wife, Faith.
In the actual movie, I'll have to find it, but I know for sure her name is Faith. Unless everybody mispronounces it the whole movie, because I swear they say Faith.
I remember at the end him yelling her name.
Yes, he's yelling her name. He's saying Faith.
Faith, where you at?
100%.
They're not the worst actors.
No.
Like these two especially. Like there's some rough ones later.
Oh, I'm assuming we're talking about the house on Highway 16. That's a beautiful house. I'd heard someone had bought it recently.
No, they're not terrible. The script is awful, and they're delivering the worst lines, and the editing is doing them zero favors whatsoever.
The hammering dude,
incredible.
I can't tell if he is the worst actor on the planet or if the direction he got from the director was just like trying to go from like Chinese text to like ancient Greek with zero translation.
Just an old man with some advice for some people who need it. This is no ordinary house. In many ways, it's like any other old house.
I don't know, dude.
Because it seems like he had he had zero direction or he is just unbelievably terrible.
I think they're going. I think he was going for a thing and it just didn't land. I think he's going for like a very specific, like, he's like, I'm doing the creepy, ambiguous, like, weirdo who just talks kind of monotone and, like, stares creepily. Like, he's trying to do a thing, I think.
They don't build them like this anymore. But that's not the only reason this house is special. This house can feel you.
But it comes across terribly. And again, everybody is at the woes of the terrible editing in this movie, where every shot is just. I have a note about it later in a conversation.
It's flat. It's boring. It looks like my movie.
No, your movie looks more interesting than this movie. Are you kidding me? It's not even close. It's not even close.
It's new comic day. Come on, we gotta hit the shop.
Seriously?
You said yourself, you got nowhere to be till 2.
Okay, all right. Jesus, you're like a child.
Anyways, so they're driving down the street, this young couple, and she sees a house. And again, the insane dialogue starts immediately.
Yeah.
Because she's like, look. And he's like, what? And she's like, look. And he's like, what? And she's like, look at that. And he's like, what? And I'm like, what is that?
What? Yes.
Look.
What?
Look at that.
What?
Look at the house.
That?
Also, my favorite, there's a few shots where we go to her because she's in the passenger seat.
Yes.
Right? And we're shooting up to her. Now, sometimes she has the car's moving with her shot.
Yeah.
And sometimes
is it not? I didn't
There's
notice
like
that.
one shot where it's stationary because the power line's not moving behind her.
I didn't notice that. That's fantastic.
What?
Look at that.
What? And why do people always try to get the driver's attention? That's how accidents occur, my dear.
Look at the house.
And then I was like, also, like, very clearly she's talking about that giant house she's pointing at. Like,
Yes.
but he does say, I'm driving. I can't pay attention or whatever.
Daryl's responsible. He doesn't respond to texts while driving.
Yeah.
Right? He'll get to it when he gets home.
Exactly.
Text, not Rex. Or whatever.
Yeah. But I love, she has this incredible line. And again, the dialogue, because it's just not written, she says, isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, in reference to the house?
Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
And his response verbatim is, no, honey, I can't say that I have.
Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
No, honey, I can't say that I have.
Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? No, I can't say that I have. Those two sentences don't go to. I get what you're going for, but it just doesn't.
It hurts. It hurts my brain.
Leave me alone. I'm not listening to you. That house is beautiful and I love it.
But then she arrives at work and she's talking to her friend April, who is another incredible actor. Let me tell you.
Mia X, right?
Yes, this is Mia X. And my favorite thing in this movie initially was that how which is intentional, but how clearly her friend is hating this conversation they're having when they come in.
And we passed by this old house. But what's strange is that it's out in the open and I've never saw it before.
That is kind of strange.
She's like talking to her friend April, and she's like, I saw a house and it's out in the open that I've never seen before. And what's even stranger, I fell in love with it. And her friend is just like, okay, I don't care. Can we do our jobs? Like, I don't care.
But you know what? What's even stranger? I fell in love with the house. And I really can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, that's even stranger.
Are you listening to me?
But she's like, oh, so I love this house. I want this house, but we'll never be able to afford it. And April's response to them not being able to afford the house is,
But the two of you are a married couple, and you should be able to afford anything you want if you want it. Now, you want the house? You can get it.
It's like, that's not how that works.
I don't think that's how
That's not how that works.
Wait, what? What are we doing?
You can afford exactly what your credit score says.
Yes. And then, I don't know if you noticed this, I'm sure you did, because it's very obvious, and it's the only
the cut?
time.
I heard
Yes,
cut,
it's the
yeah.
only time.
I heard the director say cut.
We get the end of this scene. They finish their conversation, and Faith like turns away, and you hear a very loud cut.
I will.
Cut. From off camera. It's incredible. It's so good. Oh my god. Cut. And then we cut back home, and she's talking to.
I'll give them credit on this, despite the fact that that was left in there. No boom in the shot.
No boom in the shot.
It came down to it. I wouldn't want you to work if you really didn't want to. But you know you couldn't sit around and let someone else.
And that's the only time where something like that happens that I noticed. There may be another one that I didn't notice, but that one, because it was so early, I was like, oh, that's gonna happen. If we had that that early in the movie, we were gonna have that constantly. But no, it's the only one. We get home and they're having this. They're laying on the couch together, Daryl and Faith, and they're having this conversation about the house and how she wants the house or whatever. She's like, I don't want to live in this apartment anymore. Blah blah blah. And she's like, baby, I need this house. And the camera is doing this like slow pan up her body.
Yeah.
And every single time we cut back, it's on her boobs.
Yep.
Every single time.
I was in the union sitting on the sofa. And I grabbed your hand and I kissed it.
Because see, normally when guys approach me like that, I throw up my bitchy front.
I know you really want this house. I wish to God I can get it for you. I can honestly say it. So how about tomorrow we both take the day off?
And every time I was like, okay, we're having a conversation about a house, about 40 families of boobs. Okay, I mean, if you're trying to get my attention, it's working somewhat here.
It happens so many times, and then I figured out, I think, what I was trying to get in, because it's like, she's not even wearing anything revealing.
No.
Like, she's wearing like a sweat, like a t-shirt, or like,
yeah.
And again, it's not
I
like
mean, they're literally just lounging on a couch, right?
Yes, it's not like a particularly sexy moment. It's like, it would make sense in, like in something like, the one with the cowboy shuffle singing Get Even.
Oh, pretty baby, man, can you swing? My feet start to moving as they push me from my chair.
Yeah.
And Get Even, like, usually, like, that scene, they would have a similar scene, but the woman would be, like, either topless or, like, in a bikini or something, and we would be really lingering on, like, the cleavage. Mm-hmm. And then I get what we're doing. But, again, this moment, it's not even a particular...
Brian, they were going for that PG-13 rating.
Yeah. But I was like, it's a boobs over and over and over again. And I think I figured out what happened, though. I don't even think it was necessarily intentional. What I think it is, Kyle, is that the camera operator... Because if you notice what happens, every single time you see the boobs, the camera then keeps going and we land on their faces and they finish saying a line.
I didn't mean it for it to be sweet. I just know you're going to keep me up talking all night. I can honestly say I never seen you like this before. You really want this house, don't you?
What I think is happening is that literally the cameraman didn't know what to do, didn't have any ideas other than do a slow pan up their body, like up their bodies while they're delivering their lines. And they did it for every single line. So every line that they cut and use of it starts at the same place on her boobs and then moves up to their face. And I think they just did that over and over and over again. And that's why I think.
I know you really want this house. I wish to God I can get it for you. But baby, that's a big house.
I actually think it may be a kind of innocent reason that we just stared at her boobs the whole scene. I could be wrong, but it was so funny.
Because see, normally when guys approach me like that, I throw up my bitchy front.
So then they're like, all right, fine, we'll go look at the house. They arrive at the house. The real estate agent is there out front, meets him out front. And I love the guy, Daryl is immediately like, what does this cost? Before we go inside,
I need numbers.
Yes, I need the numbers. And the guy like kind of is like, oh, you're a smart one. I'll have to you pull out my bag of tricks.
And then they walk inside and he doesn't get a number.
He doesn't tell him the price.
You may as well tell me how much you want for it before we go inside. And you pump the place up like it's Taj Mahal or something.
Well, I can certainly see I'm not dealing with a rookie. It's like I'll have to reach into my bag of tricks. Shall we?
Wait, what?
Was his bag of tricks just like not tell you anything and not answer any questions? Apparently.
Smoke and mirrors.
Apparently, because they just walk inside. And then I love they get inside and he's like showing them around and they have this conversation where he's like, oh, the story's about this place.
So what's the history on this place?
I'm not sure, actually. I've heard a couple of mixed stories about this place.
And they're like, what kind of stories? And he's like, oh, just some of the stories the guys would say around the water cooler. And Faith is like, what kind of story? And he goes, that doesn't concern you.
You said mixed stories. What are some of the others you heard?
Yeah, just a couple of guys joking at the water cooler.
Like what?
Nothing that should concern you at your new house.
And I was like, this guy hates answering questions.
Yep.
This guy just...
So is this ground is sound, right? It's not gonna
exactly.
It's not like prone to flooding.
Our house isn't gonna, it's not like a sinkhole under this or something like that.
I don't think that's a concern.
I don't think that
now.
concerns you. Nah, it's fine. And he just leaves, and I'm like, okay.
Well, I see you two need to make a decision. I'm gonna step outside and make a phone call.
And then he's like, oh, I gotta go take a call or whatever. And then they're standing there, and then the giant guy from the blacksmith, I called him, I don't know what he was, just appears behind them in the living room and is like, hi.
No one ever lived here for the past 50 or 60 years.
75 years.
Man, where the hell did you come from?
I'm sorry.
I'm here now. And then the dialogue that this man delivers, I cannot stress enough.
It's so good.
This is no ordinary house. In many ways, it's like any other house, but it's special.
This is no ordinary house. In many ways, it's like any other old house, but it's special.
This is no ordinary house.
But in many ways.
In many ways, it's like every other house. But it's not like any other house.
No.
And so many of the dialogue, so much of the dialogue in this movie plays out like that, where it's just people repeating the same thing over and over.
It's because they wanted the line, because we get this actually whenever they go into the blooper thing to pad out the end.
Yeah.
Because there's like a part where Daryl, the guy who plays Daryl, Corey Stills, I think is.
It is Corey Stills. And you know that because we hang on
Yeah.
a freeze frame of his face for like 45 seconds.
But like they're getting into the scene ahead, and he's like, "All right, just give me my line into this." Like clearly, like they're like, "We need to start on this this line."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just give me my line into this.
Say your line. Say your line.
Male, why does it matter?
Because it was. Say it again.
Stop.
So they're feeding lines.
Yes, and so they're repeating lines,
Yes.
and so things get repeated a lot, and then in the edit they just doubled everything got tripled up like 8,000 times.
Otherwise, this film would be like 20 minutes.
Yes, they truly repeat themselves constantly.
You just don't know how bad that makes me feel. I really don't have a good feeling about it. It's just that I get this bad vibe when I see it. It's like the thing is tied to something really bad. I just get this bad feeling about that cross.
He also tells them that the house can feel you. It knows what you're doing at all times. And they're like, are you trying to tell me this house is alive? And he's like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not telling you anything. It's like, what is happening?
Are you trying to tell me that this house is alive?
Is there anything you can tell us about the house?
This house is unlike anything you've ever encountered before.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
And I love that it's the most like what they're doing here. This is the ominous warning dialogue, like the meeting the ominous character who's like telling them something about the house that they're buying that makes them scared or kind of unsure. but there's zero specificity. He's literally, I cannot get over this is no ordinary house. In many ways, it's like any other house, but it's special. It's like, what is happening?
What?
This house can see.
Okay, sir. Look, with all due respect, man, are you crazy?
Real estate guy comes back in. He's like, or they go talk to him. They're thinking about buying it. And the husband's trying to haggle it down. And the wife immediately is just like, I want this house. And he's
Whoa, okay.
Well, you just ruined any deal I was going to make, but okay, thanks.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Give you the land, along with the house, and knock, say 5% off the original asking price.
Let me discuss it with my wife.
Baby, I want this house.
Then we get a title card months later. They're now moved into the house. They purchased the house. They're moving in, and they're having their conversation in the kitchen. I have to discuss this with you, Kyle. Do you have a dishwasher?
Mm-hmm.
So the dishwasher gets a lot of mileage in this movie, but this first scene in the kitchen, she is closing the dishwasher, or she is loading the dishwasher while they're having a conversation, and she is putting cups in it. And she is putting and I felt like I was losing my mind. I was like, maybe I'm the crazy person. But she's loading the top of the dishwasher with cups, and she's putting the cups on the spiky parts. Is that how you load a dishwasher, Kyle? Or do you put them between?
So usually the outside will have railings for like the outer parts, and then the inner parts, I think those are usually like bowls or plates and stuff. But the cups I'll sometimes put there just so they're not like.
Okay, because the way my dishwasher works, maybe it depends. My dishwasher looks very similar to hers.
With mine, it's clear the outer part is clearly designed for cups to go in between the railing.
Mine's not like that. So mine, the top rack is very similar to hers, where it's basically just a big rectangle like rack, and then it's got rows of like little spikes. But the width between the spikes is like the right width for cups. And so for me and the way Katie and everybody I've ever met loads of dishwasher, you put the cups between the rows of things and they keep them from like falling over or whatever. Yeah. She is putting the cups on the spikes, which doesn't work because then the first row of spikes, the wall is like here. The first row of spikes is like here. You put the cup on it. There's all this empty space you're not using, but I'm sorry, I'm getting really into the nitty-gritty of dishwasher etiquette here, Kyle, but I swear she loads this dishwasher like a fucking psychopath, and I am not here for it.
Brian, are you gonna be all right?
I think I'll be okay.
Okay.
Anyways, and I mentioned the guy has a flip phone on all the time, but he has like a little belt clip. And earlier that's fine because he has a little belt clip and he's wearing like dress pants and like a shirt and button-down shirt and tie. In this scene, he's wearing sweatpants and he still has his cell phone on a little belt clip on the outside. Great. It's like, that's incredible.
Those little belt clip holder things were like big back then.
Oh, that was everybody's coolest uncle had the belt clip.
You work in IT engineering too.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm gonna stay in this house if I find out something crazy went on here. I mean, baby, the less I know, the better it'll be. I mean, why can't we just get all together and love each other? You know what I'm talking about?
There's this great line that's a little throwaway line that I thought was very funny that I have to mention is that they're talking about like doing something in the house and she's upset at him for not. She's like, oh, you won't even kill bugs or something like that.
I mean, you can't even kill an insect for me.
And he says, why should I kill an insect that hasn't bothered me? I don't like that behavior. And I was like,
what good are you?
I mean, why should I kill an insect? It haven't bothered me. I just don't like that behavior.
This guy like a monk? Like he's like, he won't even kill like an insect? Like I just thought it was very funny.
Must not be aggressive to those who have not been aggressive to you.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't just kill bugs in my house for no reason, but I just thought it was funny.
I mean, why should I kill an insect? It haven't bothered me. I just don't like that behavior. I'm gone.
Well, leave.
Oh, then she finds the necklace. This is where she finds the crucifix. Yes. And as soon as she finds this old crucifix, we get a flash.
Bed?
What?
Is it under the bed?
Yeah, I think it's like under the bed in their bedroom or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, she picks it up and looks at it, and we get like this flash of like a bunch of shots of stuff, all in negative. like
yes,
and
this
some
got
of them are actually
weird.
Cool. Some of these shots in this with and it's
The blacksmith dude being like,
yes, yeah. He looks creepy as hell. There's also this shot right at the end where like a face like I can't. It's one of the people like in bed or something, and like the eye. Some of the shots in this were actually kind of cool and creepy. To be fair, all they did is slap a negative filter on it. It's not anything particularly like inventive or interesting, but at least it looks kind of cool and creepy.
Which, just because of how interesting that is, imagine how garbage the positive is.
Yes, that's
actually.
true.
Wait, you got a negative of it, Brian? You could totally throw, flip
I could
it.
throw
And
the
see how
negative
bad it
on
looks.
that. Yeah, no, I can do that. Yeah. Anyway, so I love though that her husband is like, she's wearing this cross the next day, and he's like, "Why are you?" She's like, "I found this in the under the bed, like in some garbage," and he's like, "You should not wear that weird, horrifying ancient crucifix that you found in this ancient, horrifying house."
Man, throw that thing out.
I'm not throwing it out. It's beautiful.
You're not gonna wear that thing, are you?
Why shouldn't I?
Because you're found it in a freaking house that's probably older than the written word.
The crucifix is beautiful, and I'm keeping it.
And she's like, "I like it. I'm keeping it." And he's like, "No."
Don't say I didn't tell you.
Shut up.
Look, you're not supposed to talk to your husband like that.
Whatever. The cross is beautiful, and I'm keeping it.
Also, like everything about this, they're trying so hard to go poltergeist with it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean it's the most generic like haunted house story.
You moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies.
Yeah, it's pretty generic and mediocre in all regards.
If you're gonna wear that old relic, then you probably want a green rash around your neck.
Don't you have something you should be doing?
Yeah, I'm about to go to the store. I gotta get some paint.
He goes to the hardware store to get some paint, and the only thing mention this is we have to introduce that the guy who works at the hardware store kind of knows about the house. He like knows some history. He's talking to another customer while Daryl's in the back.
Do you see who that other customer was?
No.
That's the editor.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That poor guy is struggling so hard to remember his lines in the scene. You can see it. He is like, he's clearly just like trying so hard to remember.
When I first moved into town, my parents used to see a lot of those kids going in and out of that house, and they warned me not to go there.
He's doing a lot of hand motion where he's trying to like reach out and find the lines, and it's just like it was killing me.
No one really knows, man. Most of the bad stories were made up by kids in the neighborhood. Truth be told, the only people that really knows what happened in that house are the people that live there, and they're all dead.
Anyways, but now he knows there's something going on with the house because he heard these two talking about it. But the guy at the hardware store won't like give him any additional information. He's like, "So what do you know about that house?" He's like, "Nah, it's nothing. Like, don't worry about it." Basically,
I couldn't help but to hear you two talking about an old house. What do you know about that house, man?
Not much, man. Mostly just old folklore, the kids been kids and all, you know.
I have a line that just says, "I'm not staying here" in all caps. And then, dude, he is losing it. I'm going to go put him in the bedroom. I don't know what happens, but Darren shows up and is like, "We're getting out of here." He's like, "We're getting out of this house."
I'm not staying here.
Calm down. What did you hear?
Oh, and then he sits down and they have a conversation. She's like, "No, why we're not getting rid of this house. We just bought it, blah, blah, blah." And I love that he goes, "Well, I've been, I don't feel comfortable here. I feel like," and she's like, "Oh, you're just not feeling, you felt uncomfortable a few times?" And she says,
I mean, did you really ever feel uncomfortable here?
Maybe once or twice.
Okay, Darren, that means nothing. I feel uncomfortable at work all the time. And did I quit yet?
It's like, what? Wait a second, time out. What's going on at work?
Also, your work looks like you work for like a travel bureau.
Yeah, or like an art museum or something. I don't know what it is because they seem to just be taking stock of like postcards or something for the most time. And also, she just hangs out with her friend all day. Yeah. There's never anybody there. She's like, "I'm uncomfortable at work all the time." It's like, all right, sure.
But if I hear or see anything strange, I don't care if it's a gnat getting out of a trench coat, we're leaving.
Then we cut to the next day, and he's got to go to work. And he asks if she's seen his yellow tie with the blue specks, and she screams, "Hopefully you burned it, because I hate that tie."
Babe, have you seen my yellow tie with the blue specks?
Hopefully you burned it. I hate that tie.
Well, I hate this house.
which is amazing.
Such crazy dialogue.
It's truly, the dialogue in this movie is unbelievable. Then we see a ghost cat. There's a ghost cat that just shows up and walks through the house.
Glitch in the Matrix.
Yes, exactly.
Did you see that?
See what?
That cat.
You saw a cat?
Don't tell me you didn't see that big ass cat that just ran past.
Then she gets to work and she's having a discussion at work with April about having kids, and I cannot stress enough, I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible. They just repeat the same four sentences over and over and over.
It's too expensive to have kids in this day and age.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm ready to have kids yet.
2006.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to have kids yet, but one day... Yeah, but it's pretty expensive to have kids. Yeah, well, and luckily I'm not ready to have them yet, but I think one day we might want to. It's just that over and over again for like 10 minutes. Like, what is happening?
What?
I want to have kids eventually, but not right now. I can't afford it. Me and Darren will have one, but not right away. I really want one, but I'm in no hurry.
But then she invites her work friend April over for dinner so that she can see the new house that they're living in. And then I love she's cooking dinner in the kitchen, and she gives that night she gives Daryl a pan and says, "Put this in that little like serving bowl," and he's pouring it, and it's just like, I think it's supposed to be a sauce of some sort, but it's just like water.
Yeah, and he's like, I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful with this
Again,
stuff.
I was like, what is this scene? She's like, are you still pouring that? And he's like, yeah, I don't want to burn myself. I'm like, what is it?
You're not done pouring that sauce into the bowl?
I'm taking my time pouring this because it's hot, and I don't want to get it all over me and the kitchen.
Okay.
It's all so weird. It's just all a little off of like how humans actually act.
It's like an alien describing human stuff.
It's so strange. I love it. But then she said she should have got a background check before they got married because he won't pour sauce quickly.
I really think I should have done a background check on you before I said I do.
Well, it's too late now because you already said it. You can't take it back. What's that?
I don't understand. It's so weird.
You expect him to have a degree in culinary arts?
Yeah. And then so they're having dinner, and Daryl is very upset about this whole house situation and stuff, obviously. But he has this incredible line where, it's not incredible, but it's just very funny to me, where she's going to go give them a tour after dinner. She's taking them on a tour, and she's like, all right, I'm going to take you guys on a tour. And Daryl goes, I don't need to go. I've seen every nick and crack in this crummy place.
I'm ready for my tour now.
Come on, girl, let's go.
I don't need to go. I've seen every nick and crack in this crummy place.
Which I guess is, I feel like nook and cranny is the phrase you're going for there, but nick and crack I guess works because it's like, it's just, again, everything's just slightly off what I'm expecting, and it just makes it like, feels so weird.
Well, it looks great.
It's beautiful. Faith, where's your bathroom?
Right down the hall, the first door on the left.
Okay.
That was all intentional, Brian. This is actually outside art. That's just making it. Everything it's doing is to get your attention just enough to be like, wait, did I just hear that
Did I hear that right? Yeah, it could be, Kyle. They're messing with my mind. They're weaseling.
Like everything's like the Mandela effect.
Yeah, could be. This is a really brilliant psychological thriller where it's a meta movie about movies, Kyle. I think you cracked it. But they're getting a lot of mileage out of the dishwasher. Daryl's loading the dishwasher after dinner, and while he's loading it, a random white woman just walks through his kitchen, and he's like, ah!
It's getting cold in here. Baby?
Then April is using the bathroom and is getting hit on by a disembodied voice that's like, hey, girl.
Hey, beautiful.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
And then it turns out, I think that's the blacksmith guy.
Yes, and he appears in the mirror.
That's right, he appears in the mirror, and she freaks out and runs out. And I love, she runs into Faith, and Faith's like, what's wrong? And she's like, I'm getting out of here. And she's like, why? What's wrong? And she's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm like, just say you saw somebody in the bed. What is happening?
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just think I need to leave.
Why?
Where's Thomas?
He's in the den with Faith.
I just think I need to leave. I'll be okay.
I wonder what's happened to her, man.
Meanwhile, she goes to bed that night, I think, and we get a dream sequence where we see blacksmith hammering guy, and this is the scene where the sound effects are all cut off like terribly. Yes. Then we get the shot of, and it's the same actress. It's Chantel, the actress who plays Faith, as like in a period piece dress.
Yeah.
Sitting on the steps.
Yeah, because like all this is supposed to take place back in the 1880s or something like that.
Yes, and in this first one, it was very confusing because she's just like acting like a robot. Like she's walking around like blank-faced, like again, like an automaton or something. But that's all we see in this first one. I was like, oh, okay. Then we cut back to the next day, and it's Saturday. They got to go do some work outside or whatever. And Faith ends up out in the woods for some reason. She's like, I'm going into the woods, and she finds the cat, the ghost cat, and then gets snuck up on by blacksmith guy.
Yes, and in this scene, they use a reflector on him, and it looks ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Don't be afraid.
Because you can tell whoever's holding it's not doing a great job keeping it on them. And it's just like constantly moving in and off his face. And it's amazing. Anyway, so they have this insane conversation in the woods. He also says, still, you should be careful this deep in the woods by yourself. And the whole time you can just hear the highway that's right next to them. The traffic just...
Still, you should be careful this deep in the woods by yourself. I'm just out here looking for things that I can use myself.
And it's like, you're way out in the middle of nowhere.
That reminds me of it was an episode of Man vs. Wild where Bear Grylls is like running across this chasm in like Hawaii somewhere, and they're like, all this ground's completely unstable and stuff like that, and then they get like the YouTube of somebody actually there, and then they're just like
they like pan over.
Yeah, pan over, and there's a highway.
Yeah. It's incredible. But it was like literally that, where they're like, you shouldn't be out in the woods by yourself. You never know what you're up to this far out in the woods. Ice cream truck stops. And like, you guys want anything? It's like, oh, goodness.
Hey, I remember you. You were here that day we bought the house.
That's right. How is it treating you?
Pretty good. It took us forever, but we finally got the place to where we like it.
That's good.
And then again, he just has a bunch of weird, ominous dialogue where he just is ominous for like a few minutes.
No reason.
No.
Oh, me, I'm just out here in the woods gathering things for myself.
Yeah.
It does me good to see two young people doing good by themselves. That's a really pretty trinket around your neck.
And then he just disappears. No, he walks away and fades out.
Yes.
And she sees this and it's like doesn't really react to it.
He gets the Neil Breen treatment.
Yeah, he just whoosh, disappears.
Sir, what happened to her?
What's wrong with you?
And then she says, because then her husband walks up and he's like, where have you been? And she goes, oh, I've just been here. I was talking to that guy. I've been talking to him for over 30 minutes.
I'm fine, thank you. I was talking to him for over 30 minutes.
I was like, we saw the whole conversation. It was like 2 minutes tops. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, God. And he just turned and walked away. He was so fast. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
You saw him
disappear. We saw what you saw. He just disappeared. He didn't go through a tree and then disappear. He faded out of existence in front of you. Yeah. It's incredible.
What old man?
Where'd he go? He was just right over there.
Then that night, and I had to talk about this scene because it's just incredible. They're laying in bed and she's wearing the crucifix. And this is actually the scene I skipped to when I was looking at this movie that made me want to do this movie. Is he just tells her like 8,000 times. And I can tell that there wasn't dialogue written for this movie. What there was the director said, okay, in this scene, here's what you need to get across. That her wearing that necklace makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
No, specifically makes you feel bad. Because he will say the word bad and that necklace makes him feel bad and he doesn't like it and this all makes him feel bad like 80,000 times in this fucking scene.
I'm not gonna lie. At this point in the film, my brain was starting to turn off.
Oh, it's fair. It's incredible.
You just don't know how bad that makes me feel. I really don't have a good feeling about it. It's just that I get this bad vibe when I see it. It's like the thing is tied to something really bad. I just get this bad feeling about that cross.
And when people who need to get something across who don't really know how to improv or aren't like trained improv people tend to repeat themselves a lot because you're struggling to come up with something new to say, so you just keep kind of repeating the same idea over and over again. I think that's what's going on here, but it's fucking amazing.
Well, I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Tired? Tired of what? I was the one doing all the work, and you was on your little 2-hour safari this afternoon.
I'm about to go to sleep.
Then she goes to bed after that. She has another dream, and this time the white lady is sitting on the porch that we saw in the kitchen earlier, and she then goes inside, and inside Faith gets surprised with like a surprise birthday party, and everybody aggressively claps at her. Like they just like aggressively clap at her for a while she's celebrating her birthday. And we hard cut from that to a park bench, I think the next day.
Morning. Hello.
And Faith sits down on the park bench, and it's that white lady.
Yes. She pops up again, and she's like in this like period piece dress as well.
Yes, and again, this conversation is maybe the best one in the whole movie.
So insane.
It's so insane. It is just nothing but the most bonkers exposition, line after line, repeating itself constantly. It's just, and none of it makes any sense. There's this one great line, even as old as it is, that's a beautiful home. And I always thought it had been.
That's a beautiful home. Even as old as it is, it's still a beautiful home. And I've always thought it had been.
That's almost English. I don't know, like what. Even as old as it is, that's a beautiful home, and I guess I always thought it had been beautiful. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It's all just slightly off.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
slightly off.
Everything is off just to get your brain like.
Just a little bit. Did I hear that right? Is that actually the word? How's that supposed to be? Anyways.
That's a beautiful home. Even as old as it is, it's still a beautiful home. And I've always thought it had been.
They just repeat themselves like 1,000 times.
The people there never really leave. They're forever tied to that one place, that one moment that totally and completely connected them to that one place. What?
She explains that it's not her home. It doesn't belong to her because there's spirits there or something.
Well, darling, that's simple. That's because it's not your home and it doesn't belong to you. What?
And I love they have this back and forth like 50 times in a row where she's like, tell me what you're talking about. And she goes, you know what I'm talking about.
Please tell me what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
And she goes, no, what are you talking about? She's like, you already know.
No, I don't. Please, tell me what you know.
Baby, I already have. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll find out soon enough.
And she's like, no, please tell me. And I'm like, oh, I love it so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Tell me what you know.
But she says, she explains, so you found that necklace in the house, and after you started wearing it, everything's been strange. And then every line in this is a masterpiece. Faith says to her, even if after she has explained, like, oh, there's something with the house, there's something wrong with the house, and it's all in the most vague, like, nebulous kind of terms possible.
It's starting to pull you in.
Huh? What's starting to pull me in?
You're in the house. The event is still going on, whether you know it or not. And for some reason, you're becoming a part of that event.
What?
But Faith has this great line. Even if something happened there, if anything happened at all, how could it be the cause of something happening now?
Even if something happened there, if anything happened at all, how could it be the cause of something that's happening now?
You don't understand, do you?
Even if something happened there, if anything happened at all, how could it be the cause of something happening now? The clunkiest conversation I have ever witnessed.
Brian, I need like a level, like I need like the Hangover math shit.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love it so much.
Even if something happened there, if anything happened at all, how could it be the cause of something that's happening now?
Then I think she's talking to somebody else. I think she might be talking to April in this conversation. Yes, she is. She's talking to April in this conversation. She's at work like the next day. And she's talking about how she ran into the cat in the woods. And she's like, I saw the cat. And I know it was the same cat that Daryl saw in the house. But it couldn't have been outside because we locked the house up. And there's no way it could have got out of the house.
I don't know how to say this, but I don't think the cat's real.
And been outside, but it was the same cat, so I think maybe it's like a ghost cat, basically. And I love, she says, but even stranger, the cat was plump.
Yeah, like it never missed a day of eating.
I still don't know what's so scary about a cat.
Well, looking back how far down into the woods the cat was, it was really strange that he was spotless. And even stranger, the cat was plump.
I don't know, man. That just got me really bad. Calling a cat plump was very funny to me. And also, this is another one of those things where the editing and clearly the coverage they got was awful, because every single line delivery in this scene is close-up of Faith giving a line, close-up of April giving a line.
And they were at my house.
Now that's strange, but I'm still not sold on a scary cat.
The cat showed up in my second dream.
What, like made a cameo or something?
Can I finish?
Close-up of Faith giving a line, close-up of April giving back and forth.
Because they needed those extreme close-ups because the amount of like fuck-ups that they had.
Yes.
Because you could tell by the bloopers at the end. They just needed any excuse they could to cut at any point.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is just a close-up with nothing around them.
Well, and I guess they didn't understand that even in the edit, they could use the moment, like hang on Faith for a second while April starts talking, and we see Faith's reaction for a second to what April is saying.
Wait, Brian, you're telling me I can do that?
The editor was unaware that you could do that, because it's literally just this person gives a line and they're on camera. This person gives a line, they're on camera, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
No wide shots, no anything else. Just close up, close up, close up, close up.
It's about what we do.
Well, that's what we do, because it's a different thing.
We also only have two cameras.
It's a very different style thing that we're doing. We're not creating, and that's not true. We cut the reactions of what like the other person is doing while we're talking. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like to say, so it's not
true. Okay, that's true.
It's not entirely true.
They gave you a cross?
No, girl. They gave me this cross.
Okay, now you're starting to freak me out.
Also, she has April asked her, "Haven't you heard the old wives' tale that if you die in your dream, you die in real life?" I was like, "Is that a wives' tale?
You die in the game, you die for real."
Yeah, exactly.
Strangely enough, this old lady came sat next to me in the park on my lunch break.
What happened?
It's crazy, April. It was like she told me everything I needed to know without telling me anything at all.
Huh?
But then the old white lady shows up to Darren, and he has a warning for Darren, saying, "Tell
Was
your
this
wife."
in the parking garage?
Yes.
Good evening.
That's
She
so
just
weird.
appears outside of his car, and he rolls down the window, and I'm like, "No, no, you just back out of that spot."
Yeah, no.
right away."
Somebody approaches you in a parking garage.
Well, and especially approaches you in the way that they just manifestly appear next to your car. Like, she just is like there. It's but she tells him, she's like, "Warn your wife. I have a warning for your wife. Give your wife this message. Tell her to be wary of her dreams." Literally the last scene before this, when they were having the conversation on the park bench, the same lady told her to explore her dreams and to get to the end of it, because that's important.
Tell her to be weary of her dreams.
Huh?
And now I guess we find out later that this lady's evil, so that maybe this is intentionally doing. I don't know. We'll get there. Whatever.
All right.
Okay, I will make sure I tell that to her. Ma'am?
And again, another line of dialogue that I have to highlight. We don't know if anything is wrong with the house, or what's wrong with it, or if anything's wrong with it,
And
for that matter.
Brian, will we learn if anything's wrong with it?
No. Well, I mean, there is a ghost or something. There's some ghost going on, but again, we don't know if anything is wrong with the house, or what's wrong with it, or if anything's wrong with it.
We don't know if anything's wrong with the house or what's wrong with it, or if anything's wrong with it for that matter.
I'm losing my mind.
She said, like, she said your dreams or something like, oh, okay. She said that your dreams.
Anyways, Faith eventually explains the dream to Darren, and how she thinks that she's the daughter from the dream, like she's the woman in the dream, and that it's like her grandmother or something, or ancestor.
And what's even more strange, I'm there, but it's not me. I think I'm this lady's daughter.
And then also she realizes that the voice she has been hearing is the creepy blacksmith guy.
Someone came behind me and put it on my neck. And I didn't see his face, but I heard his voice.
What did he tell you?
Happy birthday.
And Darren's like, all right, this is all messed up. I got to go get some help. So he goes to the hardware store. I thought he was going to get a priest or something. He goes to the hardware store. I was like, is he going to get a hammer? Get a hammer these ghosts? What is he doing?
It's like the equivalent of in Home Improvement when anytime like Tim Allen's character needs like life advice, he goes out to his backyard and Wilson's over there. Yeah. I just can't figure this part out, and you get life advice from your freaking hardware store.
Now, to be fair, as we set up earlier, the hardware store guy apparently knows something about this house. So he goes and he talks to the hardware store guy, and the hardware store guy explains that his dad, who was one of the kids we saw at the beginning, looking at the house, told him this story about how they explored the house, and how there was this story about the house where somebody, the whole story that he heard was that the daughter turned 16 and he gave her this cross, the crucifix necklace for her birthday, but then something happened to him, the father, the blacksmith guy, something happened to him where he was different. He became all weird.
He was different when he came back. People said when he left, something happened to him to make him snap. It was like he was normal on the outside, but a couple of screws were loose upstairs, if you know what I mean.
And he came home one night and he strangled her with the crucifix.
He starts choking her. She's struggling. And the whole while she's fighting for her life, his finger gets caught up in her cross. And after fighting and fighting for her life, she eventually dies.
And that's like the extent of the story. And we're like, okay. And so then Darren's like, oh no, she's still wearing that crucifix. It might strangle her. I don't know what. I guess, yeah.
And then he like busts that. He like just rushing to get home.
He's rushing home.
God, I gotta get home to my wife.
What's wrong?
A lot. I just gotta get home to my wife.
I hope I've been helpful.
You have. Thanks, man.
And then he gets there, and it seems like she's dead.
Yeah.
But she's just very sound
asleep. I told you not to fall asleep.
Yeah, he's like screaming at her. He's like, no, I told you not to sleep. And she's like not moving. And I'm like, wow, she is dead. No, she's just the world's soundest sleeper. Because she's like, oh, no, I'm alive. And he's like, oh, thank God.
Faith! Wake up, Faith! I'm sorry. Faith! It's all right, baby.
And then she just has this random thought, I guess from the dream she had, that it wasn't the father that killed the girl from the dream. It was the mother.
But you don't understand. It's not him. It wasn't him.
But wouldn't the girl be the ghost that's haunting the area?
They're all ghosts haunting the area.
Okay.
Because they all have unfinished business. I don't know. It doesn't make any freaking sense at all. Anyways, that's the twist. The old lady was the murderer, I think. I guess. Then, I don't know. And then it just ends.
And then it ends and we get 20 minutes of credit.
But I'm still not sold on a scary cat. Was that right?
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, there's 15 minutes left in this movie. And then we get outtakes for like 5 minutes. And then we get the world's, as I mentioned earlier,
every person on camera gets their own like still frame,
blurry fucking screen grab from the edit that is like the camera was moving and the background's all blurry, and it's just their name and their face, and it holds for like 30 seconds.
At least I had the goddamn common decency to cut my film short.
Yeah.
Anyways, you ready to get out of here?
No, I think I'll stick around for a while.
You sure? You don't need me to be here, already, do you?
No, I can find my own way back.
All right, well, I guess I'll be at the car then.
See ya.
And then, I just remembered because we have 10 minutes left on this, but we're basically done. Anyways, that's the end of the movie. Outtakes, credits, blah, blah, blah. Also, the credits are incredible. Like I said, just random holds on each other's face. And then the final credit just says executive producers Cain and Abel. And I was like, from the Bible? Like, what is that? You thought that was a production company or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Cain and Abel Productions. They have like 3 films. This is one of them.
Okay. The last thing I want to do real quick before we wrap this up is I have to. So this is on YouTube, full movie available on YouTube legally. I have to read some of the comments that are positive reviews of this movie, Kyle. They're my favorite.
Okay.
And they're all old. This isn't like recent like satirical, like these are from like 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
First one, I've been really into watching indie movies lately. I think for a low budget film, this was actually pretty good. It had a unique and interesting storyline. You could tell the actors were newbies, but that doesn't bother me. I feel like they didn't rely on gore or jump scares like lots of indie movies do. The only complaint I really have is the music. It was very repetitive and even distracting during some points. On my personal indie scale of 1 to 10, I give this a 6. Worth the watch, but could use some tweaking. This one, very short and sweet and to the point. I like it. Wish it had more information about the plot and the story behind all the mystery. I give it a 5. Scale 1 to 10.
Oh, God, that's great.
Next one. Thanks for the movie. My husband and I thought it was pretty good. It held our interest until the end. It has a good storyline. Next one. It's good enough movie to watch, even with the awful acting and bad filming. This is one of my favorite ones. It's a good enough movie to watch, even with the awful acting and bad filming. The opening and ending credits are ridiculously long. The absolute worst part of this movie was the dialogue between the husband and wife throughout the movie. They started that with, it's a good enough movie to watch, and then nothing but terrible comments about the movie. Nice. Next one. Well, I watched it first half before work, second half after I got back home. I don't regret watching it. It was interesting. I have seen movies that stand out as a complete waste of time. Bad Boys 2 and The Boogeyman are the two that immediately come to mind. I did enjoy Bad Boys, the first one. Oh, and Speed 2. The Speed 1 was riveting. It was great. Anyway, I didn't dislike this one. Giant smiley face emoji.
Comments.
Two more.
Oh, God.
All caps for this one. I love this movie. I love the music. Comma. The woman Faith was haunted by the past that never died. Through dreams, Faith became the daughter who was murdered by her father, who was possessed by an evil entity. Perhaps the mother was possessed. Also, period. This place has bad karma, should be burned down. 8 coffin emojis, 5 lightning bolt emojis.
What?
And then the final one. The older lady that is loving there in that community, I assume she's talking about the white lady from the bench who comes with the older lady that is loving there in that community has a lot of expertise about residential history and paranormal.
What?
Great insight. Do you think this is a documentary? What is happening? It's just losing my mind. Every comment is like that, Kyle. It's incredible. I love it so much.
I have to know these people.
Anyways, that's it. I would say bad. It's probably too boring. It has a lot of good qualities.
I did fall asleep watching it.
Yeah, it has a lot of good qualities for Good Bad. The acting, like the performances are kind of crazy. The editing, the quality, it's all just terrible. Like a very loud cut in the middle of a scene. Like it has some moments. It's just maybe a little too boring for most of the film.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of qualities that it shares with Neil Breen films.
Yes,
but
not nearly as exciting or interesting as a Neil Breen film. But it does like that similar like alien feeling, like what is the nobody talks, like what is happening. But yeah, it's I would say just barely bad, but I could go either way, but I'll say just barely bad. That's gonna do it for this episode. As always, we have 2 minutes left before we gotta shut these cameras off.
Merch store. Look at merch store stuff.
tpublic.com. Also head over to patreon.com/GBorBB. You support us there and get access to bonus content, including our little monthly things where we talk about little short things each month. I have a podcast called This Films that we're talking about movies that are based on books. When this episode's out, our most recent episode will have been I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's gonna
Charlotte's Web 2.
I'm gonna say it's been Forrest Gump. I think it is a kid's. It's like an animated, but I can't. Oh, Great Mouse Detective. That's what it is. Great Mouse Detective is
Basil at Baker Street.
Yes. So that'll be out when you've done this, and that's it. Until next time, keep watching movies. I think you got the gist of it from this review.
Yeah.
That being said, go peruse the comments on this.
It's pretty great
because they are incredible.